Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Skåne here in the south of Sweden, and we're going to return to a brewery that you've seen me review a good number of things from now, and I've always been particularly impressed with this series of beer that they do, although in fairness I would say this is a brewery who really have upped their game over the last year or two actually. So for this review we are going to return to Brygghuset Finn, and we're having a taste of another beer in their Derailed series. So this one is the Pentahops, which they're describing as a heavily dry hopped New England IPA. It comes in at 6.2% ABV, and I've heard good things about this actually, so I'm very curious to see how it turns out. I mean, in the Derailed series I've had the Bourbon Bock, which is a beautiful beer. The Raspy Wheat is a fairly easy one to get a hold of, and that's pretty nice. And of course you have the this Imperial Stout that they did with Hölia Brewery not that long ago, which was really good. Hölia Brewery from Malmö, of course, are another one to keep an eye on actually. I do wish we were able to get more beers from them, but really curious to see how this one turns out. I think this is actually the first IPA that I'm trying from Brygghuset Finn, so hopefully it's a good one, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brygghuset Finn before. No doubt there will be some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brygghuset Finn then, on to my brewery notes. So as I mentioned to you before, Brygghuset Finn are based in Landskrona, which is kind of halfway between me here in Lund to the south and Helsingborg to the north. It's a very pretty little town actually, but this company was founded by two former students of Lund University, which was of course where I studied physics, and I'm still actually doing a couple of classes there too. But this was Peter Lindholm and Simon Frenberry, and they both studied entrepreneurship. So as part of their course they had to create and plan a fictitious company, and for this they decided that they would plan a brewery. So Simon was an avid home brewer, and he'd brewed beer during his time in the university halls of residence. Probably he was in a corridor room, I would think, but this was where they lived with their friend Joachim Larsson, who was the guinea pig for many of the early beers that they were producing, and now Joachim is the company's CEO. But after finishing university they found a perfect location for the brewery behind the old railway station in Landskrona, so they ordered custom made equipment towards the end of 2013, and they produced their beers for sale early in 2014. As of 2018 though, when I last updated these notes, they're brewing around 250,000 litres of beer per year, but they have plans to produce around 1 million litres of beer per year by 2021. So over these next couple of years you will see them scale up considerably actually. They do have their kind of regular range of beers, which are the ones I think they sell to restaurants and stuff mainly, but they do have this Derailed series as well, which is the more kind of experimental and more sort of punchy craft beers if you like. And as I say, this is the series that I'm always very interested to try. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Brygghuset Finn for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. They've really updated their website recently and it's quite nicely presented, so check all those links out in the description below, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and things like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery. So yeah, let's get on to the beer itself then. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. There you can see slightly different artwork on this one, a little bit kind of, even from the other Derailed ones that I've seen from them, this artwork is a little bit different actually. But yeah, there's the Brygghuset Finn symbol on the back and the Derailed symbol just above it. It says on the side here, it's a pentagon of hops. This is a New England IPA with fruity, hoppy tones, nice haze, and from heaven I think that would be. But it's hopped intensively with Sabro, Mosaic, Equinox, Centennial, and Chinook. And drink this fresh, and I'm I'm not sure what the last little bit says actually, I'll need to check that word, I don't know that one. But yeah, basically 5 different hops in this one, so we know that Chinook is often nice and piney and lots of grapefruit and things like that. Mosaic, of course, lots of tangerine juicy oranges from that normally. Equinox is quite a limey hop. Centennial is more of a lemony hop, and of course, Sabro is a new one. I think it was called HBC 438 before, so that gives you, from what I remember, a little bit of an orangey and coconut thing, but it can also give you some minty, these kind of minty freshness things from the hops too, so really quite interesting. So yeah, there you can see the Brygghuset Finn bottle cap on this one. I don't have a green one, so I will definitely be keeping a hold of this, but let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting then. So yeah. Nice little bit of smoke on the opening there, and you can smell some of these lovely juicy fruity notes coming out of this beer as you open it up. And yeah, you can hear the kids outside as well. We're having a little bit of a sort of garden party, so you will hear the kids running around a little bit in this review. I'm going to take, once I've finished this, I'm going to take this beer outside and enjoy the rest of it. But yeah, when you open this beer up, I'll tell you something, you get a hell of a lot of nice juicy fruity notes coming out of it, but we'll talk about the aroma in a little minute. So as you can see, this beer has poured a nice, slightly hazy, more of a yellow colour this one than amber. Yeah, definitely a nice yellow colour this beer. You can see there's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head, not even creamy, definitely a perfect white head out of this one. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it does look pretty nice. If I stick my fingers behind the glass, there you can see the beer is pretty damn hazy, but overall pretty much what you would expect from a New England IPA. Not the haziest one you're going to come across in terms of appearance, but nothing overly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when you consider the style. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. Oh, that smells good actually. I like that. So yeah, straight away with this beer, you're going to notice the nice orangey notes, and that, as I say, will be from the Sabro and from the Mosaic. You've got these nice juicy these nice juicy oranges. It does come across as being a little bit oily, and of course it always used to be the case that if you wanted oily orange you would use Amarillo, but Mosaic of course seems to have taken the place of Amarillo in a lot of instances these days. But you know, it's I would say that the oranges, this one, because of those two hops, it does come across as being a little bit more oily and more Amarillo-like, if that makes sense. You can definitely smell the nice lemon limey qualities in this beer as well, and that'll be the Centennial and the Equinox playing with each other. So you do get a nice little bit of that, and there's a good mix of a sort of floral, piney note out of this one, but you can pick up some of the mints, the minty notes that Sabro has given you as well. But I would say that those both play with each other. They've chosen a nice blend of hops in this one actually, because all of these different things will kind of you know, interact with each other. I think that's pretty cool actually. So thumbs up to them on their choice of the hops. They've been quite inventive here with that actually. On the green side of the hops then, I would say that this beer does lean towards, you know, the more strong floral piney side of things, but at the same time there is a fairly decent grassy presence to this one, and you can pick up a little bit of earthiness too. I would suspect that that's mainly from the Mosaic. I've always found that Mosaic has this little bit of earthiness to it. On the malty side of things, I would say this beer is quite it's nice and smooth. You can definitely pick up a little bit of that slightly stronger wheaty note in there. I'm not getting too much in the way of oats, but there's a good little presence of a slightly caramelly, biscuity kind of quality coming out of this one. So that's quite interesting. Not really an oaty presence, but definitely a nice wheaty white bread, and also a little bit of a kind of caramelly biscuity note too. So yeah, let's leave it at that for the aroma. As I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma for yourself before you get stuck in, but I think this one's going to be quite an interesting beer. So this one is the Pentahops, a heavily dry hopped New England IPA. It's 6.2% from Brygghuset Finn in Landskrona here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål! That's nice actually. It's a lot more kind of juicy and oily than I was expecting it would be. But I tell you something, That is a really, really nice New England IPA. That one definitely hits the spot for me. And if you've watched the channel before, you will know I've always been a big fan of the IPAs that lean a little bit more towards the orangey side of things. Sculpin from Ballast Point was always one that used to do that for me. I always liked that. But yeah, that is really, really nice. Big thumbs up to Brygghuset Finn for this one. I think this is the nicest beer I've had from them on the lighter end of the spectrum, actually. So if they've got this to, you know, if they're producing something like this and they can, you know, and they can go forward with it and play with it a bit more, I think they're on to a winner with this, actually. What I will say about it though is if you like your New England IPAs to be very kind of thick and creamy, it's not like that. This is more, it definitely fits into the New England IPA category, but it is a little bit more of a hybrid. It's got a little bit more of that hoppy bite that you would normally expect of like a West Coast IPA. And I suppose there is that almost sub-style now, the Swedish West Coast IPA is actually a little bit like that, to be honest with you. In Stigbergets, of course, we're doing that beer for quite a long time. But this is good. If you get the chance to try this beer, I don't know how widely distributed it is, have a go at it. I think they've done a good job on this. So yeah, in terms of the malt base on this one, the malt base really takes a bit of a back seat with this one, to be honest. It's not too kind of prominent, if you like, but they've really got the hoppiness and things in this one, and the sweeter side of the malt base quite nicely done. So straight away with this beer, you're going to feel a little bit of that pale malty quality just blank at the middle of your tongue. On top of that, there's not, as I say, there's not really an oaty presence or anything within this beer, but if you go towards the centre of your palate, you do get a little touch of a caramelly note out there, and that's a bit more noticeable when you've actually got the liquid on your tongue. But then as you move out from the centre of your palate, you've got a little bit more of a, you definitely have a little bit more of a kind of biscuity, grainy kind of thing. And as the middle of your palate dries out a little bit, the further you go into the aftertaste, you are going to see that graininess just kind of push its way out that little bit more. But yeah, that's one of the things as well. The malt base actually really suits the beer. This is quite a good summer IPA, this one. And it really does, you know, it does have that crispness to it, which is good. So that's one of the things, you know, you might want your New England IPAs to be a little bit thicker than this one. And in fairness, I would say that this beer, to be honest, does lean a little bit more towards what you would expect of a West Coast IPA. But that's nitpicking. I mean, the main thing for me is it a good IPA? And it really is. But you know, I'm just not. I think this is more of a West Coast IPA than it is a New England one. But the main thing for me is that I like it, and that's it. So yeah, and the malt base is good, but it's the malt base that would distinguish it from, the malt base is the thing that would distinguish this between being a New England or a West Coast IPA. And to me, it does have a bit of the smoothness you'd expect to the New England IPAs, but it really, the sweetness that it has and the kind of crispness almost is more like a West Coast IPA. So it's almost a bit of a hybrid. I think that's fair, to be honest. On to the hoppy side of things with this beer then, and this is where the really interesting part of the beer is for me. So back corners of the palate then, that's where you're going to get a little bit of that earthiness, which, like I said earlier, is the mosaic. As you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, it's quite interesting because, you know, you can pick up those almost kind of coconutty notes out of the Sabro, but as you get right towards the front corners of your palate, you really get a nice little bit of that kind of minty freshness, and also a bit of the stronger piney resinous qualities from the Chinook, and those have a really interesting interaction there. And then as you go round the front curve of your palate, you get a little bit of that minty freshness just kind of sitting there, which is really unusual in a beer. I mean, I did have one from Dugas Brewery that had pine needle, I think it had spruce needles or pine needles or something like that in it, and it really had that bit of freshness around the front of the palate too, and it's quite weird to have that in a kind of straight up IPA. So that Sabro hop is really interesting actually, but you can really feel that grassiness there the further you go into the aftertaste, but that almost minty quality from the Sabro is really kind of resonating there. And of course, behind the front curve of the tongue, you've got that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And for me, this one has a really nice kind of orangey quality. If you go towards the back of the back of that oily bubble, you might get a little hint of the grapefruity notes, but as you come further forward from that, there's the nice, juicy, slightly oily, tangerine qualities coming out of the beer. The oranges are really pushing their way out of this one. When you go further forward, almost towards the tip of the tongue, that's where you're starting to get the limey and the lemony qualities, the Chinook, the Centennial and the Equinox kind of playing with each other there. So I think, as I say, the choice of hops in this one, I think it's really interesting because they've obviously, when they've gone for that, they've obviously thought, yeah, we want a good orangey flavour, we want a good bit of a kind of hoppy bite to the beer, and then they've gone for the lemon limey one. So I really do like the thought that's gone into the choice of hops in this one because it works really well for me. One thing I'm also noticing too is that there's, if you go to the very front tip of your tongue, right in the middle, there's a little touch of a blueberry note there, and that's one of the subtleties I've always found that you can get from Mosaic, and it's right there on the front of your tongue, and you've got the lemon and limey qualities either side of it. It's really interesting. Yeah, I like how everything is going together in this one. This is a solid IPA, this, and I think this is a shame if they're only going to produce this once, and I've said this about a few of the beers in this derailed series. That beer is too good to only be produced once, I think. So, you know, I do hope that they consider making this a regular, because I think it's pretty damn good, and if they've got this base to work with IPAs going forward, I think we can expect some exciting things from Brygghuset Finn over the next kind of months and years and stuff like that. They've pulled off a nice beer here. As I say, my only nitpick with this one is that it's more of a West Coast New England hybrid. It kind of finds its home somewhere in the middle of those two styles, rather than being a fully kind of New England IPA for me. And if I was pushed, I would say that this leans a bit more towards the West Coast side of things because of the sweetness in the malt base. But the main thing is, it's a good beer, and I think there'll be exciting times ahead for Brygghuset Finn when it comes to IPAs and stuff like this. So in terms of the mouthfeel then, I think I would say that this beer is mid-bodied. Yeah, mid-bodied beer. The carbonation is pretty smooth on this one. It's leaning towards an oily mouthfeel, this one. There is a bit of wetness in there too. In terms of hoppy bitterness, I think we're talking about maybe, I think we're talking about a sort of 45-ish IBU, you know, 45 maybe, 40-45 IBUs in this one. But that might be pushing it a little bit. I'd be more inclined to say 40 IBUs, to be honest with you. Malt base, like I said, is fairly smooth, but it's got a little bit of sweetness to it, and this way that the sweetness comes out is quite nice. That kind of helps the orangey flavours a little bit, in my mind, and it gives you a good contrast with the sort of piney and minty qualities that you're getting out of this beer as well. So you've got that in there, and you've also got a nice little bit of a juicy fruity quality in there. The oranges are a little bit juicy and oily, the lemons and limes help dry the flavour a little bit, and you've got a bit of that slightly darker grapefruit which sort of amplifies some of the bitterness out of this beer. But like I say, I really like how this one goes together. It's definitely one of these ones where it's all about how everything fits together, but a very, very solid beer, this one. And I'm glad I was able to review it. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one is the derailed Pentahops, a heavily dry hop New England IPA at 6.2% from Brygghuset Finn in Landskrona. I have to say, I think they've done a nice job of this, so make sure you check this one out if you get the chance. And I do hope that this isn't the only time we see this beer, because I think it's too good to just be a sort of one-off, to be honest. But yeah, let's leave it at that then. So as always, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brygghuset Finn as well, and I'm sure I'll return to these guys at some point in the fairly near future. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you check out this beer, check out my social media, and I will catch you guys later. The Pentahops, the derailed Pentahops rather, from Brygghuset Finn in Landskrona and Skåne here in the south of Sweden. Slange, skull, cheers, and thanks for watching.